So yesterday, Hunter Biden went on a bizarre, profane 3-hour podcast where he slammed everyone, ranging from the Democrat establishment to Hollywood celebrities like George Clooney. But he trained most of his ire on the former Obama aides turned podcasters. Well, the bros over at Pod Save America have struck back today, and it is gold. Now, anyone who is center-right has heard all of these criticisms of Hunter Biden before, so there's no breaking news here. But I think this is the first time where we've seen anyone on the left side of the aisle, let alone people of this caliber and with as large of a following as they have, absolutely rake Hunter Biden over the coals. Just enjoy.
Mostly it is 3 hours of Hunter playing the victim, and he rages at us and he rages at Axelrod and Clooney. But the problem was the voters.
I know.
And they never
That's what I
addressed
wanted
that.
to say.
The voters thought Joe Biden was too old. And when it comes to the attacks on Hunter himself, okay, what if we just stipulate for the hypothetical, yes, okay, all your business dealings were above board and legal. All your paintings were purchased by art lovers who loved the product and didn't know your name. Trump is worse. You were on the board of Burisma because of who your dad is. And that is what people hate about Washington. And it was part of the problem. And there's some other weird shit. He said blames the debate on Biden's staff, saying they gave him Ambien on his foreign trip. But Biden got back from the G7 on June 14th. The debate was June 27th.
Ambien.
If Ambien was the issue, I don't think it's Ambien, it's age.
Also,
right?
it's he was tired, so they gave him Ambien?
Also, allow me to rant one more second. His big beef is that Republicans stick together and Democrats are united. But he's obsessed with this show, obsessed with George Clooney. They don't talk about Gaza until 2 hours and 50 minutes into the interview. I'm guessing that was the bigger threat to party unity than a George Clooney op-ed. You know what I mean? It's just this sense of entitlement that from Biden, from his family, from the inner circle, that he was owed the presidency, owed a second term. It is just very grating.
The whole premise of 2024 was, yes, voters are saying that Joe Biden's age is his biggest liability. But don't worry, because Joe Biden's the closer. And when you see him campaign, he's going to put those worries to rest. He had a good State of the Union, and then he had the worst debate any of us had ever seen, and it became insurmountable. And so at long last,
he didn't put the concerns to rest, he put his campaign to rest.
Right. And at long last, the Democratic establishment decided to listen to the voters. And it was very hard to get the establishment to do that, but ultimately they did that. And everybody kind of collectively ultimately were able to get Joe Biden to step aside and do the right thing for the country. Now, we don't live in the world where Joe Biden ran that race all the way to the end. But one thing we know is that Hunter Biden, throughout Joe Biden's presidency, was a terrible liability for him. And put the addiction aside, it is because he was on Burisma, because he became an artist, because he was part of a kind of sleazy Washington that, as Tommy said, people hated. You were a liability. You should be ashamed of the ways in which you made your father's political life worse. And the idea that we're going to listen to you now, give me a break. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of being ashamed, and speaking of why should we listen to you now, why should anyone listen to the bros of Pod Save America? I mean, these were the guys who totally, not just them, but the entire Democrat Party, the entire establishment, the mainstream media, they all ignored the Burisma story. Remember that? They claimed it was a Republican hoax, there was nothing there, it was all a lie. And now that Joe Biden is out of office and the further away his presidency drifts in the rearview mirror, the more they're actually able to say the truth and say, oh, there actually was something there. Oh, it actually does reek of corruption. I mean, you don't see that on the right side of the aisle at all. That's why the whole Epstein controversy has been such a big deal, right? Because so much of the questioning and the pushback has come from right-leaning or libertarian or independent people. It's not just the left, whereas the left truly circles the wagon on every single issue, and you can't even talk about it. You can't question, or else you're thrown out of the party. You're thrown into a den of wolves. And so that right there was really interesting. They also made an interesting admission, right? Because the official narrative was that Joe Biden dropped out of the race. He was doing it out of principle, right? He was doing it to save the country, and because He just thought this was going to be the best move he could make. But they right there admitted, no, he was pressured out. Of course, we knew he was pressured out, but there's been drip, drip, drip of reports, whether it's Jake Tapper's book or other books, that, quite frankly, that have come out showing that Nancy Pelosi and other high-ranking Democrats really stabbed Joe Biden in the back and twisted that knife. So it was really nice for them to say all of that. I wanted to point out one thing, too, before we continue. It was really interesting that all of them were just staring. Look, I film my show on my iPhone. That's what I'm pointing at. I obviously have a microphone, and my laptop is right here as I'm recording. I don't take notes. Like, I read the stories in advance. I have clips prepared. I obviously have screenshots prepared, but I don't have a script. I don't even have bullet points. My entire show is improvised. Number one, because I like to inform and educate myself and study up on the topics before I talk about them. And then number two, because I'm passionate about it, because I can talk freely. I want to connect with you, whoever's watching this. And it was just so interesting. The Pod Save America bros, they were like this. Let me read my notes from my laptop, and I'm just going to talk naturally, like I'm just reading. Or not reading, excuse me, but obviously I'm reading because I'm staring down. It was just, this is why the left is failing at podcasts, right? The right has really dominated the online sphere, as well as obviously podcasting. And it's because I think that the left is just exposing themselves as being disingenuous. They're pre-scripted. They narrate and they filter what the narrative is. The fact that they didn't cover Hunter Biden at all under Joe Biden's term as far as corruption and the paintings and Burisma, and now it's free game, whatever. Well, this feud is not over yet. Hunter Biden is just on a tear. So if you missed that show yesterday, I encourage you to go check it out. Warning, it is very profane. Now, I did my best to censor all of the words, but here's another show Hunter Biden went on where he again slammed the Obama bros, Pod Save America.
How arrogant do you have to be to be Pod Save America? Like, we've designated them as the guys that are going to save America. You know, like 4 guys living in West Hollywood making $1 million a piece or more than that for the past 4 years. You know?
Like I said yesterday, I really think he is dipping his toes, testing the waters for a 2028 run. Why else would you go out there and do all these podcasts, do all these interviews? I mean, maybe he's trying to protect his dad's reputation. But if that was the case, why didn't you do that at all during his presidency? Why did you wait this long? But instead, I mean, I don't think he has a book coming out unless he's about to surprise us with a book announcement. But all of a sudden, he's doing this media tour and really slamming people in his party, defending his dad, and then saying things like, if I were president in 2 years and 4 years and 3, you don't say that sort of thing unless you're trying to plant the idea and see what people's reaction is. I'm not saying he's going to run because he could get negative feedback, but I definitely think he's putting his feelers out there. Now, I have one more disastrous Democrat podcast clip, but first I would like to acknowledge Helga Shabalaba Ding Dong, good to see you as always, and NRA 1776 Heston as the members of today's Governor's Club. Again, these are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. Thank you so much. I am glad you're here and that you enjoy the videos. Well, actor Jeff Daniels sat down and basically compared Kamala Harris on a podcast with Nicole Wallace, compared Kamala Harris to Lincoln. Yeah, the lady who has to rely on a teleprompter for everything. She is just as profound as Abraham Lincoln. Take a look.
I still think about Kamala and how I think she would have been a good choice. I don't care what they say. Because she would have done what Lincoln did. Liz Cheney would have been Secretary of State.
Team of Rivals.
Yeah, Team of Rivals. Doris Kearns Goodwin wrote the book about it. That's what Lincoln did. Surrounded himself with the people who would disagree with him, not the people who would, take a knee and go, yeah, more tariffs, sir, more. It's the madness of King George. And just the deterioration of the Republican Party. I mean, look, I'm just an actor. What do I know? But when Mitch started stacking the courts 25 years ago, I said it on your show once. They can see it coming. The new America that is diverse and treats everyone with equality and respect and dignity, kind of like Jesus did. We're ready for that. And Mitch and company could see it coming. They were going to be the minority. So they just started, and then here we are. And now you got it.
How are Democrats so possibly that wrong about everything? First of all, I want to point out that he invokes Jesus, yet it's Democrats all the time who cry separation of church and state, or they say, don't shove your religion in my face, don't shove it down my throat, or they say, church is over. Like, it's the left who is like anti-religion and trying to shut down anything that, has to do with Christianity, especially. And so for him to invoke Jesus there is very hypocritical. But on top of all of that, to claim that Kamala Harris is like Abraham Lincoln because she surrounds herself with people who challenge her point of view, if that's the case, then why was her campaign so insular? They were all telling her what she wanted to hear. They were trying to protect her. They didn't allow any opposing viewpoints. That's why just think about where they let her do interviews. They didn't let her do interviews with anyone tough until she actually got pushback, like when she sat down with Bret Baier. Oh, by the way, that too. In case you haven't heard this anywhere else, this was from one of the 2024 books that I've been reading. She apparently showed up late to the Bret Baier interview. That was on purpose. And one of her campaign staffers actually admitted to Bret Baier after the fact that was intentional. So they were scheduled. I'm probably getting the times wrong, but you'll get the idea, like the specific times. But let's say they were supposed to get there at 5 p.m. for the interview because they needed to edit it and get it turned around really quickly to air at 6 p.m. Well, they got there at like 5:20. They were 20 minutes late, and it was already a tight turnaround. And basically, the campaign staffer admitted that they showed up late to this interview to basically throw Bret Baier off his game because they knew he was probably going to come in tough, and he had these pre-planned questions. And so basically, they wanted to get him stressed out, get his team stressed out, maybe even get them thinking, oh, shoot, is this interview canceled? Do we have to somehow whip something up to air at 6 p.m.? So they basically, they were trying to throw him off his game, and that shows you, the entire Democrat Party is a party of an echo chamber. It's all yes people. They tried to protect themselves. They don't want any diverse viewpoints. So for Jeff Daniels to say that and to be that ignorant to the fact is just, I don't want to say funny, but it is really eye-opening. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics, and I would love to hear from you. So it is no secret that the Democrats are struggling with podcasts. They're struggling with new media. Why do you think that is? Yeah, very open-ended question. Do you think, I don't think it's a technical thing, like as if they don't understand the internet or how to structure their own shows, but it is interesting that it is increasingly being dominated by people who are either independent or on the right. If you haven't already, Matrim, I'm trying to avoid a cat quick. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it, is a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more people in the algorithm like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.